Voplat has just claimed first victor on the top 1 Nautical Nightmares. For those of you who don't know who Voplat is, he's most well known for being the first person to surpass the former best player Ivyo on both the platformer list and platformer rank at the same time. The former uses your completions of the top 100 levels for its rankings, while the latter bases theirs on your top 10 hardest. However, even though he was the number 1 player on the platformer list for a while, his top 10 just wasn't as good as the players above him on platformer rank. That was until this week with his completion of Nautical Nightmares, where he especially struggled with a couple of tight jumps at the beginning of the seafloor. The first jump was a tight squeeze through a vertical spike gap into a sharp turnaround, which Voplat used to safely land between these two spikes. Right after that, he needed to dodge a ceiling mini spike, which is fairly hard to see, while also making sure to jump far enough to reach the right side of this spike. Later on, he also struggled with the first jetpack of the level, as navigating these sideways diagonal gaps while rising was extremely challenging. His favorite part of the level was this chain of pink orbs, as it had several different strategies. You can either spam through it, do a finicky 4-click pattern, or do a quick 3-click pattern, which is what Voplat opted to do. Huge congrats to him for completing this top 1 in only 22,000 attempts, and on becoming one of the only people to hold the number 1 spot on platformer rank. A huge platformer rate wave just occurred, which includes the top 10 meat tower by Dron and Crerro. In addition to all of its moving teeth and spike obstacles, some notable parts include this jetpack corridor full of yellow orbs that you'll want to avoid clicking until you're near the exit, this meat that spawns a wave of projectiles upon collecting it, this UFO click which is a 240Hz frame perfect, this ring where every meat you collect randomizes your jetpack's gravity, and this nerve check at the end where you have to sneak past Spencer, the spinning meat creature, while balancing yourself on steep slopes. Its turret earned a rate on AvantGarde, an extreme that was verified by the best minigame player Deffold. What's unique about this level is that the gameplay is entirely invisible, so you have to rely purely on the background and music cues to progress. This, along with the auto-scroll, makes simple gameplay such as lining yourself for small cube gaps especially tough. If that wasn't bad enough, later on was a brutal mirror section with reverse controls, before a sequence of wave dashes that Deffold had to memorize. And after a cube and robot duel that required him to desync them at the end, was an especially brutal section. This part entirely hides the player icon, forcing you to memorize yet another click pattern. Huge congrats to Deffold for verifying this behemoth of a level. The top 41 in 5-minute deathless level Mount Uber by TheArmyAnts was also rated. This extreme is notable for its use of fixed hitboxes on the ascent upwards and its increased difficulty within the cave sections. After 856 hours, Zoraz has earned an epic rate on the auto-level marbles, where the dropper on the left side of the screen affects the battlefield on the right. If a marble drops into the red zone, its corresponding cannon fires it out equipped with spinning blades. However, if a ball falls into the green zone, it's upgraded to a bomb with a powerful area of effect attack. The blue zones are especially useful as they increase how many marbles can spawn at once. To finish off the rate wave, Journey by Kaylee, a level that was tied with the most sends for any platformer level, was finally rated. Its gameplay is in the style of one of the old point-and-click adventure games and has an emotionally driven story that we won't spoil in this video. However, 3 days later, RobTop rated 2 other noteworthy levels. The first of which you should check out is the Epic Tomb Moon Molten Soul by Genghis Gongus, a story-driven level about a robot seeking the meaning in eternity, which is complemented well by its use of foggy aesthetics and peaceful, serene music. The other level was the infamous Pac-Man Mod Z, verified by Dresmo and made by GadX2. You'll have to collect every orb inside of a Pac-Man maze layout 30 times while the rooms grow more and more chaotic. There are boulders that fall across the screen, rotating lasers, hailstorms, and arrow volleys, all of which you'll need to dodge. However, even after all of that is one last jetpack avoidance section, where Pac-Man, now a cosmic horror, will try to launch drills at you, slice you apart with buzzsaws, and fire spike balls at you. Crerro has released his new Extreme Demon Orb Max. This level makes extensive use of orb boosting, making it controversial due to the mechanic being impossible on mobile. For those who don't know, orb boosting is a technique where upon jumping to an orb, you can press a separate input key while holding the initial jump to receive a massive vertical speed boost, which is not normally achievable. This is possible in mobile, but only in classic mode, as the always limit controls option doesn't actually work for platformer mode. RobTop, please add checkpoint saving and then fix this bug. Anyways, the level is a bounty, cartoony styled level with a very tight speedrun timer, leaving very little room for error. Along with orb boosting, these arrows will thrust you in whatever direction they're pointed. This makes for some adrenaline-inducing gameplay and some exciting jumps, such as this long jump, where you'll need to time this jump and orb boost combo as late as possible to make it across a huge gap. Samamba, a player who stayed on the top 10 of platformer rank for 21 months straight, has just claimed first victor on the top 50 As Erroneous as You, a level where each time you hit a breakable block, several other platforms toggle on and off. At the start, he mostly struggled with this jump, where after barely missing this hitbox, he had to double jump around the block that just appeared. The last quarter was especially brutal though, requiring specific click patterns, with the hardest being this one, where after breaking this block, Samamba had to use a double jump to build up enough height and momentum to safely land on the next one. This level was so hard that he had to disable pulses to more clearly see its circular hitboxes. A couple other notable completions include the best player to use Patrick Star as a Discord profile picture willy-silly, reaching a peak ranking of 4 after beating the top 19 Wave Dash level at Glungus, and the creator of How to Platformer, TheArmyAnts, beating the hardest jetpack level I Loved You. Thank you so much for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and shoutouts to our channel members.